I swear to God, we are living in a completely different timeline. I swear to God, there's so much going on in a short period of time. It's insane. Today, we're going to be talking about the recent arrest of Sean Combs, or P. Diddy, as you all know him by. He was arrested on charges that includes, prostitution and racketeering, which is basically a RICO charge. So it's pretty serious where he is right now, and we're going to get you into the loop on everything. Now, before I start with this whole story with P. Diddy, I do want to make this promotion real quick because I feel it's kind of weird to just talk about this after this whole situation. But it's nothing too crazy. I'm only doing a promotion for Subathon. I am doing my first ever Subathon on Twitch TV, and I would love for y'all to show up. It's going to take place on the 23rd of September at 12 o'clock Eastern State Time. The more you subscribe, the more you contribute bits and donations, the longer I stream for. I will have that information posted up on my Discord as well. I'll also have it on my Twitter. So if you ever want to tune in on that, you're more than welcome to, and I would love for y'all to show up. Now, moving along with P. Diddy. P. Diddy is a very terrible person once you get to know more about him. He's been in the center of many conspiracy theories, especially with the whole, death of Tupac and Biggie. There's been so many conspiracy theories revolving P. Diddy. There's really no way of telling what truly happened behind the scenes. And he's been accused of many other things, heinous crimes on people. It's like as if he has this urge to hurt everybody he comes across. Like, nobody is spared when they're within P. Diddy's circle. So let's get right into this whole situation, because this is going to be a serious sit down. So if we're going to get into the loop on this whole thing, we need to kick things off last year in November when things started to heat up. On November 16th of 2023, Cassandra Ventura, also known as the singer Cassie, filed a legal complaint alleging years of sexual abuse, harassment, and rape during the relationship she entered in with Combs and remained in for years. Cassie also alleged in the suit that Combs made a threat to blow up Kid Cudi's car. Later, the rapper's car exploded, and Cudi confirmed the versions of events detailed in her suit. Her case was filed under the New York's Adult Survivors Act, and just one day after it was filed, the lawsuit was settled out of court for an undisclosed sum. So a little bit of context on the whole New York's Adult Survivors Act. Basically what it was is that you had a grace period of a year, whereas if anyone sexually assaulted you in any way, shape, or form, you could press charges on that person and time would be irrelevant. The only thing that would matter is if this person was alive. That was basically it. You would have victims that will come forward and they would press charges on people that have inflicted harm, or at least sexual harm, on these victims. And it could be back in the 90s or in the 80s or in the 70s. And we also have Kid Cudi here from Day and Night. I toss and turn, I keep thoughts in my mind. That guy. So basically he was dating Cassie after Cassie left P. Diddy. And, P. Diddy took that personally. So P. Diddy made threats and talked about he was going to blow up Kid Cudi's car. And of course he blew up his car. And Kid Cudi had to confirm that, yes, this story of hers is true. P. Diddy was threatening Cassie. It was threatening Kid Cudi. He didn't like the fact that Cassie was dating someone else, let alone the fact it was Kid Cudi, and he blew up his car. On November 23rd of 2023, a week later, under the wire before the cutoff date for filing under the Adult Survivors Act, Combs was hit with two more lawsuits. Joy Dickerson Neal accused him of misconduct in the 1990s after the two went on a date when she was 19. The case alleges that Combs drugged and raped a teenager while videotaping the attack, while another anonymous lawsuit alleged Combs is accused, along with singer Aaron Hall, of sexually assaulting a female and then beating her days later. So this is kind of weird how that little paragraph kind of summed everything. Joy was accusing him of misconduct in the 1990s when she was 19. But then the next sentence kind of made it seem as if she was still a teenager at the time, but they just said she was 19. P. Diddy and Aaron Hall, this R&B singer at the time, they were friends and they met up with a 16-year-old girl and her friend, and they kind of linked up and everything. One thing led to another. They drugged them, and then that's when the sexual assault took place. not only because you sexually assaulted a minor and her friend on top of that, but you also recorded the attack. Like, I swear to God, this is literally running parallel with R. Kelly at this point. Now, I'm gonna fast forward a little bit here, only because from November all the way to March of 2024, it was just lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit, and I didn't want to drag this video on for too long, so I'm just gonna skip on over to March of 2024. So on March 25th, the Combs case escalates with massive attention on his dealings after authorities raided his properties in New York, Los Angeles, and Miami as part of a broad investigation into sex trafficking allegations. That this all came as the Little Rod lawsuit was raising eyebrows about the Mongols' behavior, did no favors for Combs, and soon he was a daily subject of gossip and conspiracy theories across the web. Combs, then attorney Aaron Dyer, called the raids a gross overuse of military-level force and said the unprecedented ambush was paired with an advanced coordinated media presence. So you probably remember this not too long ago. It was this year where there was law enforcement that actually raided 3 of his mansions between Miami, New York, and Los Angeles. You could probably saw like helicopter bird eye view of like SWAT teams and raid officers that were just storming into his mansions. Maybe you saw like a little bit of memes here and there, because I heard like his kids was in one of the mansions and didn't even know the police officers were showing up. Meanwhile, P. Diddy was just out somewhere on vacation. Like, he was like in a tropical area. I don't even know. And moving on to May 17th of 2024, Combs' reputation is dealt a massive blow after CNN obtained a video of the Mongol wearing a robe and walking into a hotel hallway where he then brutally assaulted his former romantic partner, Cassie, in 2016. The shocking video is blanketed across the media and leads Combs to issue a public apology. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video, he said in a video statement posted on his Instagram page. This is a lot. This is a lot going on between November of last year all the way to today. So you probably also remember the video that surfaced on the web. I don't know how people were able to get this footage. CNN must have done some deep digging to get this video from the hotel. Plus, it's pretty crazy that the hotel was sitting on this footage for quite some time. But anyways, they have this footage. They released it on the internet. Everybody was watching it. P. Diddy was abusing Cassie back in 2016 in this footage. And that surfaced. And he had to make, there was PR relation issues going on there, and he had to do some damage control. And he didn't really make an apology video. I hate how he said that it was a public apology. It wasn't. It was basically saying like, hey, what I did was inexcusable. I was a fucked up person back then, and sorry I got caught. Anyways, let's keep it moving. Like that was basically it. It was nothing. It was anything but an apology. June 10th of 2024, longtime rap game rival of Combs, Suge Knight, who ran Death Row Records on the West Coast while Diddy was at the helm of Bad Boy, dropped a theory from prison that the Mongol is working with the FBI as an informant. This is why, Knight claimed, Combs had been able to act as he did with impunity. It shouldn't be a gray area when it comes to doing something right, doing something positive, or doing something for the community, Knight said on an episode of his Collect Call with Suge Knight podcast. That being said, naturally, Puffy has been an FBI informant forever, as they would say. That's why it's different when it comes to him. Suge Knight is, as they just mentioned, he's one of the co-founders for Death Row Records. That was more on the West Coast of things, and P. Diddy ran Bad Boy Records, and they were rivals for a long time. Suge Knight is currently in jail for like 23, 28 years for involuntary manslaughter. He did like a hit and run, and he was found guilty of those charges. Suge Knight is basically saying that P. Diddy is a rat. He's a snitch. You could be buddy-buddy with P. Diddy, but at the end of the day, if there ever was a day that comes down between him and you, P. Diddy would throw you under the bus first thing and he wouldn't even blink if it means saving his ass at the end of the day. And then we could finally move on more to the recent times. September 11th of 2024, singer Don Richard filed for what is now the 10th lawsuit against Combs since the cascade of litigation began in November. In 2003, Richard formed the girl group Danity Kane, which Combs mentored as part of his role in MTV's Making the Band. She alleges that Combs, as they worked together, subjected her to years of psychological and physical abuse, which included groping. Danity Kane wasn't spared from P. Diddy's wrath. I may be showing my age here, but there was this TV show on MTV called Making the Band. This was like around like the early 2000s, where basically, you know, you had all these contestants that are showcasing their talents, and you have P. Diddy and several other figures there that are picking out the best of the best. But in this case here, Sean Combs was hit with a new sexual assault lawsuit by Don Richard. The lawsuit also alleges copyright infringement and breach of contract for nearly $5 million in unpaid royalties and wages. And then finally, we head on over to September 16th, the day where P. Diddy is arrested in Manhattan, and an indictment unsealed the following day accuses the fallen Mongol of crimes related to an alleged decades-long pattern of physical and sexual violence against women. Federal prosecutors charged him with sex trafficking and racketeering for directing a vast criminal enterprise through which he assaulted and trafficked women with the help of his various businesses from at least 2008. He pleaded not guilty and fought for a $60 million bond, but the judge decided that he would be detained until his trial. So this was the indictment that was unsealed. As you can see, if you can look closely, on count 1 we have racketeering conspiracy, and then the second count being sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. And there appears to be one victim of that. And then finally on count 3, there's transportation to engage in prostitution. Now, I think the craziest thing that we need to talk about is the stuff that they found in P. Diddy's mansion in Miami. You guys probably been on the internet this past week, and you may have seen some memes and tweets or posts, whatever, referencing, you know, baby oil or lubricants, or having 1,000 bottles of these things. Guns and ammunition, drugs, and large amounts of baby oil and lubricant related to the alleged violent sex events dubbed Freakoffs were found during the raid of the music Mongol Sean Diddy Combs' Miami Beach mansion, according to the new federal indictment charging him with sex trafficking and racketeering. The indictment, unsealed Tuesday, alleges Combs hit and abused women for over a decade and presided over an empire of sexual crimes as he engaged in a persistent and pervasive pattern of abuse towards women and other individuals. The indictment details allegations dating to 2008 that he abused, threatened, and coerced women for years to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. He is accused of inducing female victims and male sex workers into drugged up, sometimes days-long sexual performances dubbed Freakoffs in the indictment, which refers obliquely to an attack on his former girlfriend, then RBI singer Cassie, that was captured on video. The Freakoffs were elaborate and produced sex performances that Combs arranged, directed, masturbated during, and often electronically recorded, the indictment said. It said he sometimes arranged to fly the women in to ensure their participation by procuring and providing drugs, controlling their careers, leveraging his financial support, and using intimidation and violence. The events could last for days, and Combs and his victims would often receive IV fluids to recover from the exertion and drug use. During the searches of Combs' home in Miami Beach and Los Angeles this year, law enforcement seized narcotics and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant, according to the indictment. Also found were firearms and ammunition, including 3 AR-15s with defaced serial numbers, as well as a drum magazine. On more than one occasion, Combs himself carried or brandished firearms to intimidate and threaten others, including victims of and witnesses to his abuse. That is absolutely hell. That you're in this event and P. Diddy's hosting this event, and you're participating in sexual performances and acts, and it's not even just oh, we're gonna be doing this, it's gonna be a party, it's gonna be an all night long kind of thing. No, this goes on for days. I don't even think it's healthy to even go on for that long. And then even if you're tired, especially, you know, exhausted from the drug use and performing multiple sexual acts in a short period of time, they give you IV fluids, which is absolutely insane, only to drug you up again and to perform more sexual acts, like as if the party never ended to begin with. It is absolutely disgusting that we have someone that all they have is just all this money, and then with money comes time, and P. Diddy want to do something with that time, and he decides, of all things, I'm gonna make people's lives as miserable as possible for my pleasures and my gratification. It is absolutely deplorable. But other than that, guys, that's really just it. I'm really happy they denied bail. He's gonna be in jail for quite some time. This whole thing is an absolute mess, but I'm happy that they're finally starting with something, especially a RICO charge, which is absolutely insane. Like, he could fucking rot for all we know if he's found guilty for any of these crimes. But until then, guys, that's really all I have. Peace.